Welcome to the Contemporary Issues Adult Sunday School class. What a good crowd today.
Yeah.
We have a good topic. Thank you for coming, everyone. We have Ron Puning today talking about moral approaches to economics. So going to talk a little bit about how much socialism should we mix with capitalism? What's the role of government? Should it be funding big, huge programs for poor people? Should it be just a little bit and churches do more? Or what's the proper role and mix of socialism and capitalism? So we got a little theology worked in there too. We'll have a good discussion. But first, welcome to our Zoomers. And Susan, real quick, can you hear me okay? Just want to check, make sure, thumbs up. Thank you, my friend. And when you speak, please mute yourself, or when you're not speaking, please mute yourself. That would work much better. That's right. And we are recording this for future playback on YouTube for those who can't be here. And other announcements. We have Sunday school Christmas party coming up on December 9th.
That's right, and I've started a sign-up sheet around for you to sign up what you want to bring.
And let's mention, I think what we're gonna do this year to kind of try to keep the confusion at bay is we're gonna have a specific 30-minute time in the very beginning for our appetizers. So we'll have like an appetizer mingle, and then we'll go into our dining part. And just FYI, we have a couple of kind of fun surprises for you.
Surprises? These are good. They're good surprises. That's right. Okay. Other announcements.
Do we have any first-time visitors here this morning?
Visitors? No, I don't think so, as I scan the crowd.
Right.
We do want to recognize, like they did in the service, our folks who were in the armed services, and Larry and his handsome uniform today. Thank you for your service. And Eric, and Dr. Bob, and anyone else, we want to thank you very much. And things in the news, just for a moment. How long do you think this government shutdown is going to go on?
Too long.
Too long?
Wait,
Wait, you think it'll be the longest one ever?
Yeah, it is.
Is it? Yeah. They've reached that, yes. Well,
It broke Trump's old record.
it broke the old record.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's.
18, yeah.
Kids that are already being affected by this.
Who? Kids that are being affected?
Well, okay, I have one of my daughters is a family therapist.
Okay,
So she's not getting paid anymore because she works through Medicare and Medicaid. She's not getting paid anymore.
Huh?
And she just found out that her health insurance has doubled.
yes. And air traffic controllers and
Yeah.
lots of other people. Yeah, it's a sad thing, and nobody's really identifying how to resolve it. So it's a good, yes, Jeff, go ahead.
You asked, so I have thought about this. I think it could end a little bit before Thanksgiving.
That's what I'm thinking.
Because of the Thanksgiving travel.
Yes.
That's gonna put all.
That'll put the pressure on.
Busiest travel days of the year.
Yes.
Congress and others were gonna hear about it if it doesn't get solved by then.
Pressure will
More than they are.
ratchet up. That's right. By the way, we have, I put microphone on left and the right side. If you'll grab those things and pass them around, they're already turned on and should be active. And so don't take off the tape that's wrapped around them. That's keeping the volume at the right level. So when you want to speak, please look for the microphones there. But that's a good segue into our topic today, because both sides, Republicans, Democrats, are talking about how much do we help poor people? How much do we subsidize with the healthcare and food programs? And so all this difference. Remember when FDR passed, didn't he do Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security was his big program? And people called them communist programs back then. Social.
Into
And then, of course,
Facebook.
they turned out, hello, Grant, I heard you there. Yep, remember that, Grant, when people called it terrible socialism when Social Security was put in place? So it's always been a question, how much socialism, how much capitalism? All right, with that, we want to give Ron plenty of time. Thank you, Ron.
Okay. All right, Steve, you can work up the PowerPoint presentation and get it back to slide number 1.
Okay.
A lot of good resources to look at. Incidentally, I was in the No Kings rally up at Arapahoe High School and very enjoyable. Steve joined me for a while on that corner.
Downtown.
You were downtown and did have one person go by in a car and shout at all of us, "You're all a bunch of communists." But that's interesting. And maybe you'll
Gotta
feel
get
that
rid of
way by the time I
everything.
get done with today's presentation. I don't know.
Let it log in,
Some of the resources I highly
let it
recommend.
update
Uh,
everything.
Drew heavily on Robert Reich's materials. His latest book coming up short. And this copy actually comes from our little library over there. So if you would like to borrow it, feel free. So we'll pass that around. A couple other ones. Some folks hate Bernie Sanders, but this is, I think, his latest book or second latest book. It's okay to be angry about capitalism. So this is also an excellent resource. A book we did a class on a few months ago, Keith Payne's The Broken Ladder, How Inequality Affects the Way We Think, Live, and Die. Excellent book. He grew up in Kentucky and has some really interesting perspectives on what he has seen. We've also talked about Stiglitz's book, The Road to Freedom, Economics and the Good Society. Then if you want to really get into economics, always in review, go to get Sowell's book. That's generally considered a good book on economics in general. And then a book I ordered and I started reading last night. This is a 2013 book, so it's not out of date, but it's by the author who won a Pulitzer Prize, Matthew Desmond, and the book is simply titled Poverty by America. And he, on the back cover, it says, "Why does the United States, the richest country on earth, have more poverty than any other advanced democracy?"
Good question.
So I started reading this at about 10 o'clock last night and could hardly put it down. I got a good start on it. Again, I'll pass this around, make sure these books get back to the table when we finish. Okay, there's a picture that I've used before in this class. And I'll ask again, where is that picture on the left coming from? What's the movie and what's the?
It's a Wonderful Life.
Yep,
Yeah.
and that's Mr. Potter interviewing and making an offer to Jimmy Stewart, who plays
George Bailey.
George Bailey. And Potter is offering him lucrative benefits if he'll just quit that savings and loan and come work for him. On the right is a picture of a Hooverville there in the 30s. Next slide. Okay. Here's a saying that was written directly at freedom, being individualistic, but it's also true for economics. I'll read it. "The greatest illusion of modern society is that freedom is purely individualistic, when in reality, our freedom is deeply interconnected with the well-being of everyone." I would contend that not only is our freedom very interconnected with the rest of the people in our society, but certainly our economic well-being is. The two go hand in hand. And everyone has said, if you're just barely able to survive economically, you're not very free. Very true statement. All right, we're going to jump down to the first handout slide. How is the wealth divided in the US? If you look at that, the top 1% have an incredibly high percentage. I think it's 31% roughly. It's a very high number. And then the second group, the top 20%, which it could, and that bar graph, by the way, excludes the 1%. So to get the full top 20%, you have to combine those first two bars. And that tells us something about where the money is. And then we get down to, these are quintiles. We break the income of the United States into 5 distinct groups. And you can see there's a heavy concentration of that at the top. And this, of course, is true with virtually every nation. Unfortunately, it's gotten a lot worse in the last decade, and it's accelerating even more in the last 5 years. You probably heard this week where we're about to see if everything falls into place, Elon Musk might be the first trillionaire in the history of the world. Of course, yeah, so a lot of things have to happen for him to get all that money. But it certainly shows that, let's say the front hog on the trough tends to get overfed. Okay, next slide.
Norway said no.
Graphically, in addition to that bar graph, and I think everybody ought to put that in their collection of literature, because this tells the story of one of the biggest challenges we're facing as a nation now. And we've got to figure out some ways to work on it. If our land was divided like US wealth, get a load of that. 1% would own that hunk on the left. The next 9% would own this. And there's not a whole lot left at the bottom of the trough for a lot of people. Next one. Financially, people that earn less this is household income. Households less than 50 grand represent about 32% of America. That's a third. Add the 50 to 99,000 group, and you add another, almost another 30%. That means 61% of the households in the United States are below 100K. And then you add the 100 to 150 group, and you add another 17%. And so clearly, not everybody's rolling in it. There's Fred Flintstone working at the rock quarry, that picture. But the top 20% of American households earned, now here's the 52% of all income. So we get 52% of the income. And there's a difference between income and wealth. But again, the top 20%. I read where the airlines are the ones that are really making profits right now, are the ones that have decided the money is really in the first class and the people that are super frequent travelers. So they're tuning their airline a great deal for profits to hit that group, because that's the group that's got the bucks. There was one criminal was asked why rob banks, because that's where the money is. Yeah. In 2022, that's just a couple of years ago, about half of the US adults lived in middle income households, and that middle class share continues to go down. Poverty, 2021, an estimated almost 12% of Americans lived at or below the poverty level. Next one. All right, the tax cut, the big beautiful bill. Here's who got. Guess what group is the richest 20%? Got the big bar on the right. So there's where the money went. And you can see where it didn't exactly try to equalize the economic distribution. Next slide.
The only people he cares about.
Okay, SNAP. SNAP is getting crushed this week, as we're all aware. Incidentally, this is a Robert Reich statistic from one of his YouTube presentations this week. The cost of SNAP to feed 42 million yearly, and there's 42 million people in the United States getting supplementary nutritional assistance, is 100 million. So to cover them for a year is 100 million. But the lost revenue from major tax cuts for the top 1%. This doesn't say the taxes from the top 1%. It's the money they saved on taxes by recent tax cuts was 100 billion. So obviously our government policy is helping those that have and punishing those that don't have. I am interested as we come up and watch A Christmas Carol, either on stage or on TV, as we're heading into the Christmas season. So many of us Americans get a warm, fuzzy feeling from watching that movie, but we don't really want to think it applies to us, or it's to make us, it's feel good, Freddie feel good, but it doesn't sink in to an awful lot of us. Again, 45% of all new income is going to the top 1%. They're finding when a lot of really new great enterprises are started, the new money tends to flow into the hands of a very few. But looking at the other side, that second bullet, 18 million spent half their limited income on housing. That doesn't say, again, that's 18 million Americans have to spend half their income on housing. And right now, hundreds of thousands of young people are unable to afford higher education. Ask a friend with kids in high school what kind of bills they're facing to try to put their child into a good college program. And it's oh my gosh. 100 million Americans are uninsured or underinsured, about 60,000 dying each year because they can't get to the doctor on time.
That's gonna go up.
Yeah. Then for the older generation, 40% of older workers are entering retirement with no savings at all. So you won't see these people at Windcrest. And you won't see them at the meet out here. And I'm not knocking, but I'm just saying there's trouble a brewing. All is not well in the city. Johnny Rivers turned, I think, 83 this week, and his #1 hit was Force Out of Town. Does anybody remember that song?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, it's a great song. It really is. All right. There is, like most things in America, we tend to think of averages and think that everybody's got average stuff, but the answer is no. There's the county level, by county, the gross domestic product per capita. So that's how, who's got the most money per capita. And we can see the green places are where there's a whole lot of money concentrated in the hands of a few. The yellow is kind of average America. And if you're in the orange counties, you're hurting a bit. Then we go to the next slide. And this shows where the shorter lifespan happens. This can also be found in your handout. And if you correlate the two graphs, say here's where the money is, here's the GDP per capita, and here's where the people are dying. Tremendous correlation between when you don't have money, you die early. And it's not just a few months, it's several years. You can read the fine print. The orange goes from what, 66.8 to 86.8. So that's a 20-year span. So bucks play a key role in how long you're going to live. Next one.
Because you can afford better medical care.
It's a combination. It's partly medical care, but they're also finding if you're barely making it and you're worried about who's going to pay my rent next month, it puts a tremendous stress on people, and that stress never gets relieved, and it ends up kicking your immune system in the butt and making you far more vulnerable to disease. And of course, your food supply. You can't afford fresh fruits and vegetables. You know, you and I know, you go into the store, and if you want a nice thing of strawberries or blackberries or a lot of fresh fruit and stuff, some of it is quite expensive, and you're better off to buy the the discount cookies, the butter cookies. You can buy a whole keg of those to fill you up and not buy the fresh fruits, vegetables, et cetera, et cetera. Again, the non-homogeneity of American society. There's two charts in your handout. I didn't include the third one, which is all the middle states. But this shows the median household income by state. And again, we want to quickly talk about what's the difference between the mean and the median. The median is if you take all the data, if you took everybody in this room and lined them up on income and counted right to the middle and then took the income of that middle person, that would be the median. The other way of doing it is if we added all the incomes together and divided by the number of people here, that would be the average.
And that is skewed higher.
Right. If Bill Gates came into this class, or Elon Musk, the average would just get blown out of the water. It would give you a very mistaken impression. But there's the distribution of median, that's the middle household income by state. We see the District of Columbia is on top, Massachusetts, Maryland, Utah. You can look on down. Jump to the next chart. Colorado, by the way, is 8th. So we're pretty high on median income. We're doing good. There's the US average, by the way, right down there. And then we jump down to the bottom. And there, the next chart. And at the very bottom, Mississippi, Louisiana, West Virginia, Arkansas. Yeah, all right. So,
All southern.
yeah, so America is not homogeneous in terms of distribution of incomes. Next chart. Okay, capitalism versus socialism. I'm always amazed when people go on the TV, radio, YouTube, or media and start saying it's that evil socialism. Well, the simple fact is virtually every democracy is a mix.
Right.
Of capitalism and socialism. It's like a recipe. How much flour, how much sugar, and how do you balance it and how much of each? And deciding whether capitalism or socialism is better and how much in the recipe is best depends on where you are in the world, what natural resources you have, your population, their education. And again, most modern economies are mixed and have elements of both. And if you think about it hard, you say, we're not a socialist country. We've got a lot of socialism, though. Yep. Social Security. I think if I asked for how many people in this room are drawing Social Security, how many have Medicare? Yeah. So please don't tell me you don't like big government. And if you're on Social Security and Medicare, you're getting a lot of help from the federal level.
It's always funny to me that some of the folks who yell loudest against socialist programs are the ones collecting from the government.
Yeah.
Yeah, red states take a lot and blue states. That's right. Government funds.
Yeah. Back up one. I like that not cartoon, but that image. I like to call our capitalism bridled capitalism. That's what it has to be. You put a bridle on capitalism because if you turn it loose with no bridle, capitalism has no morals. I mean, it really doesn't.
Standard Oil, Andrew Carnegie.
Yeah, it will.
John D. Rockefeller.
It will trample anybody, particularly the aged, the sick, the weak, the youth.
Ron, can I make a quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Statement. We're talking about.
Microphone, if there's one close there, thank you.
Talking about Musk coming close to being a trillionaire. But most people probably know the first million was John D. Rockefeller. And he was asked by the press or whoever, how much more do you need? Or how much is enough? And his answer was more.
Samuel
The richest man in
Gompers
the
also
world.
said the same thing.
Pardon me?
Samuel Gompers also said the same thing.
Yeah, that was his view.
Yeah.
You're the richest guy in the world now, how much, do you need? Or what's your goal to more?
Okay. On the other side of the coin, clearly, if you tighten the bridle and the saddle so tight, you can kill the horse. So you gotta find the right balance. And you gotta work in, I think, your humanitarianism or your care for humanity. And one of the struggles we have in our country is we're more of an individualistic country. We're not nearly as community oriented, like particularly nations like Japan and many others. So that's both a strength and a weakness of America. Big nasty socialism. Here's some of the many nasty socialism things that they put in place. Things like sewer systems, police, museums, the EPA. Yeah. If you look at that list, say, oh my gosh, we've got quite a bit of socialism, don't we? Next one. All right. All right. You've heard that phrase. It's the economy, stupid. The last election in particular, in fact, the last several, have hinged to a great deal on economic perceptions and desires. People tend to, in fact, I've been stunned by what people will do to get their monetary desires, what the things they'll look over and forget about. Much of the economic frustration expressed in the last election, or presidential election, was concern about inflation, particularly food prices, staples, the tremendous increase in the price of housing, the proportion of good paying jobs. We not only have to look at how many jobs do we have in the unemployment rate, but what are the stabilities of those incomes and the pay rate of those.
Yeah.
Creating 60 more positions at McDonald's as a burger flipper won't support families. And I told one person too, one good thing about Social Security is it tends to be stable. You didn't have to hear a rumor of a layoff or a lost contract that was going to cost you your job the following month. I told someone I thought 80 cents from Social Security was maybe worth at least $1 or more in private funds because of the stability factor. Particularly if you're raising a family, trying to protect them. So there's tremendous frustration in the American world right now in terms of inflation, in terms of the price of housing, jobs or lack thereof, what those jobs pay, the stability of those jobs, the difficulty of young folk getting into the workforce, a lack of jobs with health insurance, and then again, the soaring cost of raising a family, young men who can't support a family. It's frustrating them to no end. And that's leading to some good decisions, but an awful lot of bad decisions. As
Can't
we
forget
face.
soybean farmers.
What's that?
Can't forget soybean farmers.
Yep.
They're-
Right.
They lost that market to China.
Yeah. Although China said they were going to
Yeah,
buy half of
but
it.
that may not help this year, this
Yeah.
crop.
Yeah. Okay. Here's some of the misconceptions. Perception that immigrants are threatening and tearing down the status and prospect of WASP. It's white Anglo-Saxon Protestants. Anger that people of color are getting special privileges. They're subtracting from whites. Anger that females are invading formerly white all domains. Perceptions that the poor are dregs on society. Particularly when a high percentage of those getting help are children, working single moms, medically disabled, elderly, and those locked in Rust Belt cities. One person pointed out, deporting 1,000 farm workers out of Southern California does not open 1,000 jobs to people that are unemployed in most other areas of the country. Yeah, Larry.
It was more than 3 or 4 years ago, but there was a farmer in Arizona that had a crop that had to be harvested in 2 days. And they had sent all the immigrant workers. So he advertised in the paper and on the radio and the TV that he would pay $50 an hour for people to come. 2 people applied, 1 showed up, and that person quit after 2 hours.
Yeah, I know there's also a major meatpacking facility up in Greeley,
Really.
and they have a high number of immigrants, and probably they've been raided a few times. I'm surprised ICE hasn't swooped down on them. But those jobs are not jobs that the unemployed in Denver are flocking to. Okay, next one. SNAP recipients. Here's who's getting SNAP. Almost 40% are children. That's a lot. 20% are elderly. So add those together, you're already up to 60%. Then we toss in the children or non-elderly with disabilities, many with severe disabilities. Add those first 3 bullets together, 40, 50, 60, they're 70%. You say, well, what about those other lazy 30% that are getting SNAP? Well, most of them are working.
2 or 3 jobs.
Yeah. Yeah. And most SNAP recipients qualify for $187 a month. Big money, huh? And that's about $6.25 a day. So to make the claim that you're living a life of luxury off of SNAP is, yeah, pretty absurd. Next slide. The new Pope has come out with a major, he published a 100-page encyclical that basically, and this is in your handout, a little more of it, it's not all of it, but it condemned economic policies that marginalize the poor. In a nutshell, he says plain and simply that the heart and core of Christianity and the Catholic Church was a concern for the poor, suffering, and the underprivileged. It's a pretty powerful statement. Next one. Again, Pope Leo XIV's October thing talked about very strongly the continuation of Pope Francis's themes. Okay, little golden books. I love this little golden book. I don't know if that's in the handout or not. I think it is. Here's a little golden book that you do not buy for your kids. You're going to die because your family is poor. A heartwarming bedtime story brought to you by, bought on by unpaid medical debt and late stage capitalism. So here's some wishful thinking. We're doing a lot of this right now. Denying climate change is happening. You still have. Our president doesn't really believe in climate change.
Well, so slow, Jeff.
Yeah. Believing world trade environment is the same as post-World War II. Expecting racial, religious, and age demographics to stay the same. Denying world resources such as clean water, aquifers, forests, ocean fish populations are all infinite in supply. Believing human nature has improved so much that tyranny, genocides, war, and extreme tribalism are all in the past.
Don't we wish?
And then here comes I think the kicker, expecting a quick and simple solution without pain or sacrifice. And the public really wants to hear that. I feel sorry for any of the political candidates right now that have to go up to a presidential election. The public wants them to stand up and tell them, hey, elect me, and 6 months from now, you're going to have it made in the shade. We're going to solve all these problems. Money's going to come flowing. It's going to be the land of milk and honey so fast. When an honest person would say, we're gonna try to make some strong progress, and I think we can. This is gonna be painful. This is gonna take some self-sacrifice. It's gonna take people that say, I'm not gonna be the only pig at the trough. I'm gonna share. And I'm gonna pay even higher taxes if I have a whole lot. So there's some stuff. Next slide. US has the highest level of income inequality, and it's comparable actually to a lot of other countries. But one thing that some of the other countries are doing much better of is using wealth transfers. Wealth transfers occur by giving earned income credits, SNAP benefits, Social Security, all these things that helps transfer some of the wealth down the scale. And the purple shows that what the share of income ends up after you do some of the transfers. So the transfers do move, or the purple bars do move some of the money down to the bars that are weak. And this really ticks off a lot of people. It really does. Next slide. Reaching for a strongman Messiah. This shows where the votes went. And again, it was the economy and immigration and foreign policy that drove a lot of the votes in this last election. Next slide. How many here have grandchildren or children who are sort of entering the workforce now, or, yeah. If you listen to them and you see the challenges they face, it's tougher than we had it, no question about it. Their educational expenses, having to incur a lot of debt to get through college. The starting jobs are drying up. Right now, it's really bad. Even software engineers are having trouble getting work. But particularly poor young families are facing tremendous difficulties of hunger, unstable housing, limited health care, and reduced educational opportunities. Okay, and it's clear we need to do some stuff on the federal level to tackle these problems with some real solutions. Next slide. Before you get angry at SNAP recipients, this shows the average cost of Medicare per beneficiary. And it hit a record of almost $18,000 in 2024. That tells you, I think most of the people in this class are better than average, but in terms of their average Medicaid benefits, you're getting about 18K, which is not trivial. It's better than that 6.25 a month or a day that the people on SNAP are getting. Next slide. And again, we have the economic status. This shows the wealth that we find among the different, this actually shows the levels of wealth. This shows the poor, what percentage are poor. And you can see the blacks and Hispanics are leading the way. And a lot of that, you say, well, they're lazy and you knock them down, but a lot of it's because almost no wealth, very, very little wealth, comparatively speaking, is flowed into Black and Hispanic families. Most of us who are honest about it, and not everybody, have found at least some benefits that have flowed down to us through our families, inheritances, or even where you were raised, things like that. Most of us didn't start at home place. Most of us at least got to start on first base or second base. Just living in this country gets you at least to first and on your way to second base. All right, let's finish her up and get some needed comments going on here. There again, there's Bernie Sanders' viewpoint, and he hits hard on it. It's okay to be angry about capitalism. And then, of course, we did a review of the book Abundance. Next slide. And the book Abundance talks about what are some things we can do on a practical level to try to create more abundance. more to share in terms of how do we get more better housing, uh, insurance, et cetera. And finally, let's jump to FDRs, and I have to agree with FDR on this comment. The test of our progress is not whether we add more to the abundance of those who have much. It is whether we provide enough for those that have too little. So when I hear statistics saying our GDP grew by a certain amount, that's good. But if we don't get, in that very first bar graph, if we don't get more delivered to the people, particularly the lower 60%, we're in trouble as a society. So with that, let's get some fiery comments going on here. Thoughts and comments, Bob?
If you look at the top 10 richest men, and they are men in our country, they all made their money by building a business. And their money, their wealth is tied up in that business. It's not like they're sitting on bars of gold that could be handed out to other people. So the lesson is invent Microsoft. Don't be sitting around your basement. Get to work.
The American.
But that's where the wealth
Mhm.
is very much concentrated in these businesses.
And Bob, the moral philosophy is, I made it. What's mine is mine and I'm gonna keep it. And what's yours is mine and I'm gonna get it.
But on the top 10 wealthiest people, you've got Bill Gates giving away a lot, Warren Buffett giving away a lot.
And Trump and Musk taking it away.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm wondering how much tax is gonna be paid on that trillion dollars. Musk is receiving.
Very little.
Tax rates.
Well, that's projected hopeful income for the future, spread out over a long time. But yeah, the tax codes are easily worked by very, very wealthy people to dodge most of it. Bob Williams.
Rachel's passing the microphone back.
Okay.
Yeah, the Bible actually gives us a very good picture of what Christian morality could be in economics. If you look at the first 2 chapters of Acts, talks about how the young Christians, right after Jesus was here teaching, did economics. Those who had gave to those who didn't have. And it doesn't say anything about not giving to people who don't work. They gave to those who in need.
All right,
Pass the
keep the
microphone.
mic passing.
I totally agree with all the statistics and the eye-watering ones like the top 1% have. But another way to look at it is that I saw an article a few weeks ago that said if you took all of Musk's money and distributed it on a per capita basis, that it would give each person around $400. And so even if you took the 400 top millionaires, that would be 40,000. That's not going to change the world. It's a one-time income or wealth transfer. So I hear you that they're too high, but I don't know what the solution is in terms of how much good is that money really going to do, even if we confiscate?
Yeah, well, I'm not saying confiscated, but
Well, what
Yeah,
else would
but-
it be?
I'm sorry.
If you really took all of it and distributed it, why wouldn't it be confiscation?
Well, you start taxing dividends and income he's taking.
Bob said in their businesses, it's income that has not been realized yet, and therefore it hasn't been taxed. As soon as they sell that stock, they're going to be subject to capital gains tax.
Okay, okay,
But they haven't done it yet, so you can't tax them.
good point.
One of the things that's going to hurt with deporting all of these people who had jobs is that every one of them was paying into Social Security
Exactly.
with no hope of ever getting Social Security. So they say Social Security is in deep trouble. It's even deeper trouble now when you're deporting all the people that are contributing without the hope of getting.
Okay, here's another thing on social security. You pay social security on your income up to a certain level. I don't know where the bar is right now.
118,000.
It's 118. But if you move that bar up to from 118 to
350.
to a million,
Yeah.
yeah. And you say, well, you can't make somebody pay $1 million in their into social security.
You pay 12%
But
of
what if they're earning 75 million a year? Yeah, is it now that unfair? I would argue it's not. So, okay,
Ron,
go ahead.
one of the things we haven't mentioned.
Microphone, if anybody's got one, Christine, thanks. It's coming.
Sure.
Coming. Sure. There we go. Thank you.
One of the things in this comparison between capitalism and socialism is consistent for the last 10 years, the countries that have come in consistently the happiest have been Scandinavian, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, and Iceland. And yet they pay the highest taxes and their economies are based on socialism. People in Norway and Sweden, they get subsidies for having children, they get subsidies for going to school. Farmers get subsidies. In Norway, they protect the dairy industry, so you can't buy yogurt cheaper from Sweden because they protect their dairy industry. So there are all these aspects, and yet they're the happiest people for the last 10 years. The only other country that's in that top 6 or 7 is Costa Rica.
Okay,
Pass it back to Chris, please.
right.
Oh, there.
And I will go to Grant, I'll get to you in a minute, okay? Yep, yep, I see Grant's hand up. I'll ask for other Zoomers if they want to comment too, but Chris, go ahead. Oh, pass it back.
Going along with what Eric said, and yet those countries still have a lot of billionaires. So it doesn't mean that capitalism is not alive and well in these very countries. But I wanted to add to the misconception of the SNAP program, the food stamp. I don't know if you mentioned this, Ron, but of taking away the children, the disabled, the elderly, the percentage of the working poor are white. The higher percentage are white working poor rather than minorities. And I think a lot of people think of, the food stamps are only going to minorities, but yet many of these are the white working poor in rural areas that are getting these funds.
Pass the microphone back to Jenny, would you? While the microphone's going back, I'll just share with you, 60 Minutes a few weeks ago had the Scandinavian countries on their CEOs talking about we make a good profit in Scandinavia in our businesses, but we're not greedy. It's a different mindset here than it is in America. And I thought that was very interesting. Jenny, go ahead. Different culture, right? Yeah.
Well, it's a lot like the misconception we always get into when we talk about public education versus private education in America. The idea of who is getting the benefits and whether they're happy or not in America is very based on the cultural, extreme cultural diversity that we have in this giant United States of America. And we have always had cultural diversity here since our very beginning. And what we see a lot in the media is people cherry picking the data and cherry picking their reaction to the data based on who it is that is writing the article or the book or collecting data. And we forget that our country's based on cultural diversity from the very beginning. Most of us are not deep divers when it comes to looking at all that data. And when we look at Scandinavian countries particularly, they don't have any kind of the diversity that we have in the United States. When you're looking at educational data, that destroys our public education system because public education is educating everyone, which no other country is doing. The same way with Social Security or Medicare or all of these benefits. Here in the United States, we're talking about providing them for all of our citizens or even non-citizens in some cases. It doesn't compare at all. And I just want to keep bringing that up every time we get in this discussion.
We're a bigger, more complicated experiment, yeah. I promised Grant I'd go to him after this, so hang on, Gene. I wanted Grant on Zoom, go ahead. And anybody
Okay,
else? On-
I contend that we need better education for people and how to handle their money. And I have two examples. One example is a couple who got some post high school experience, and they used the Dave Ramsey model of how to handle money, and they own a beautiful 3-bedroom home. They have complete finished basement. They live very comfortably. They own 2 vehicles that are really in nice shape. And then I know of another person who received $60,000 plus a vehicle, 2015 vehicle, very low mileage. And they went through that in about 3 years. And so it boils down to education and how people want to take care of themselves and take care of their money. And right now, it seems like everyone is I won't say everyone, but there are people that are dependent on the government to take care of them. And there are people that say, I don't want to be dependent. I want to get out there and I want to earn my own keep. And so the contrast of those two people is just amazing. The one that went through $60,000 in a vehicle, they're living at Section 8 housing and get SNAP money. And it's just, so it's an attitude. It is an educational thing that we have to teach everyone how to handle their money. And it isn't being done. It's too bad. I, I when I was in high school, I didn't take typing, but I took trigonometry. And you know how much I would be using by typing right now? I have not used trigonometry once in my lifetime. So that's all I have to say.
Good point. Okay, we've just got a few more minutes left. Let me go to Gene and then I'll come back to Zoom if anybody wants to do that. Go ahead.
I'm saying,
Sure, go ahead.
in reference to these last comments, and Eric, I think the class would appreciate doing the geography of bliss. It's a cross-cultural examination. Poor countries, rich countries, what makes for happiness? Again, the geography of bliss on Peacock Street. That's right into what we're discussing. Thank you, Ron, for what you're doing.
Okay. Anybody else on Zoom like to weigh in? Please go ahead. You've got just about 3 more minutes left.
Here we go.
Okay, who was next? We had Jared.
Slight comment, I don't know much about it, but
Yeah.
I just returned from a trip to the Baltic states. And Estonia was the top financial one. They were, got out of Russian control in 1991, and they are very wealthy. Everyone, they're very happy and they invest in everything. Oh, I just couldn't believe how they've done it, so I wish I knew more to tell you about it, but I was very, very impressed. I thought, I think you can take $10,000 to the country and they'll help you set up your business, but you have to have your business. But they're very supportive through the government. Everybody in the whole state, country has Wi-Fi. We have spotty stuff because we're not supporting our poor and the rural people. They have it for everyone.
Did you go to Finland?
No, just if it's across the border, they're probably very similar.
Where did you go?
Estonia.
Estonia,
Estonia.
Eastern Europe.
It's a very short,
It's in Bal-
short boat ride from Finland.
It's about 50 miles from Finland, and it's part of the Lithuania, Estonia, and
Okay, we're wrapping up now. Larry, go ahead.
The financial campaign is gonna start. I want to tell you how I joined, why I joined St. Andrew. 40 years ago in October, the fifth or sixth church we visited, the pastor was giving his annual fundraising. He said, if everybody in this congregation would tithe on the minimum standard income for their family, our budget would double. And I nudged my wife and said, we found our church, because there were a heck of a lot of Mercedes and Cadillacs.
Very good.
All right.
Any final thoughts, Dr. Bob?
You know, we talk about socialism versus capitalism. The main biggest capital of capitalism in this country, New York City.
Yeah.
They are taking a big dose of socialism
Yeah.
with a new mayor.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a wonderful experiment. Let's see if this wonderful socialist who has the principle of the Islamic religion to guide his principles will rescue them.
Promising.
As opposed to the great job Trump has been doing. Touche.
Okay, very good. Ron, anything?
All right. Nope,
Any
other
final-
than, we're gonna need some, it's gonna take some sacrifice. I know Reagan was very angry because the top income bracket percentage in about 1953 was as high as 80%. And they cut it down to 37%. Now it's down to 22%, 23%.
Yeah.
We need to move that higher income bracket. Not back up to 80%, but it should be moved up closer to 37% than.
I think you're not looking, the current top income is 37%.
Okay,
Yep.
okay,
Depends on what bracket you're in.
got it,
Yeah.
got it.
Okay,
Alrighty.
great discussion. Thank you, everybody. Okay. Next week, Jeff Klaus is gonna lead us in discussion on the Constitution.
All right.
Bye-bye.
No, we're back to stuff together. Yeah. Right out. Yeah.